Hello, my name is Luke, and I'm here to show you the good stuff that is going to help you make better music faster, and I don't want to waste any time today. What I want to show you is how to get an acoustic guitar that sounds something like you might hear in a Post Malone record, Noah Kahan, Ben Howard, that sort of stuff. But honestly, what I'm going to show you is pretty applicable to almost any kind of genre. So I'll show you what's going on, and we'll go from there. The guitar in question is this one here. Cool, so that's pretty styled. In context of the song, it sounds like this. So it's a really nice sort of instrument being used in the context of this song. It's really helping give a lot of harmonic information, giving a lot of drive with the finger picking. So let's break down what's going on. So I'm going to break this down into three parts. The first one is a good, solid recording. So when you are recording your acoustic guitar, you want it to just sound as good as you can at the source. The better you can get it sounding at the source, the better your life will be later on. So if I turn off all the effects, and all my bus effects up here as well, I'll show you just the raw acoustic guitar performance, and it sounds like this. So you can hear it's clean, not just in the way that I recorded it, which I used my Aston Origin mic here for, but also in the way that I performed it. So there's two parts to think about. So when you are miking up your guitar, the first thing is I tend to hold it about, I don't hold it, but I place it about 6 inches away, facing the 12th fret at an angle, right? Because I only use one microphone. I don't really have time, nor can I be bothered to multi-mic my guitar because I affect it anyway. And to be honest, a lot of mono sounds, mono is underrated. That's what I'll say. So I just use the one mic and I just put it at an angle, right? But you might want to experiment, and the idea is you record it, you listen back to it and go, what is it that sounds, or what do I like the sound of in this particular mic placement? You know, find the placement that works for you and that suits the song. So there is that, and then there is also the performance. So you can hear in the guitar performance here. You hear how there's no string buzz or anything like that. There's obviously the sliding noise here, but that can be sort of de-essed out, which I'll show you later on. But it's a clean performance, and I think this might have been like a comp, so I think I did maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 takes, and then I comped the best bits, because where this guitar was going to be the driving force of the song, I really wanted it to be clean, to be solid, especially in the verse where the guitar is exposed, and it's just a vocal and the guitar. So I was thinking about my finger placement and making sure that there was no extra noises that didn't need to be in there. So that's the next thing in terms of getting your good solid recording. Good mic placement and a really stellar performance if you can manage it. It makes all the difference. The next thing that I want to look at is layering. So the guitar there on its own is the bass guitar that you heard. And then what we have here, let me just take the effects off of this one. This is my layered guitar. And that sounds like this. Let's turn it up. So you hear that all I'm playing there is a triad higher up on the guitar neck. Now, I really like layering guitars. I like layering instruments generally, but when you're thinking about layering, one of the most crucial things to think about is the register in which you are playing. So my main guitar here is a bit lower on the neck, right? And I've got a lot of that sort of mid-range, a lot of the low mids as well coming through. And that is giving a lot of body and richness to the performance, right? To what I'm trying to go for in the mix. This top one is, of course, only in the higher register. Okay, I haven't occupied that register yet with an instrument. And so that's what I did on the acoustic guitar. I took it higher. If I started trying to play that same thing, the octave lower, it would start getting a bit messy. It would start sounding muddy and it wouldn't sound very good at all. So when you're layering your guitars, think about where you're placing them on the frequency spectrum. And honestly, the best way to demonstrate that is literally use your EQ graph here. If I just open up the EQ here on my low guitar, I'll just mute the top one for now. You can see that the frequency ranges it's occupying are way lower, from 100 Hertz up to about 400 here. And then we get a little bit of the guitar squeak coming up there. But if I go to my higher guitar here, you'll see how generally it sits a little bit higher. We've got a few more notes at the top here. This is in the high guitar. So you can see that that is where it predominantly sits. Obviously there's a bit of low rumble there anyway, but that's stuff that we EQ out. So it kind of sits a bit higher on in the frequency spectrum. So they will fit really, really nicely. You can go to an even bigger extreme and go even higher if you want and fill out the ranges up here. But yeah, this just suited the song. I didn't want it to be too bright, but I didn't want them to be clashing either. So that's layering. Now, the next thing that I'm going to go over is just my processing chain. And what I like to do when I'm layering up my acoustic guitars, especially in this instance where I kind of wanted them to dance with one another and play off one another, I tend to bus them, right? So that's the first thing I did. I put them into this bus here, meaning I can affect the entire bus, which you can see to the left there. Before I did that though, I do have a very simple chain that I put on my guitars just to get a bit more out of them. So the first thing that I did on both guitars is I added a de-esser, and there is a guitar squeaks preset right there, right? This is the, I'm not sure how you pronounce this, Eosis de-esser. You get it with the Slate Digital pack. And under guitar squeaks, I've got squeaks, gain and auto. And this just takes away any of the guitar squeaks. So you'll see when I go to change the notes, there, you see how it docked it there? And it does that for every single time that I get squeaks and stuff on the guitar. It's a really, really great thing. If you don't have this plugin, you can use just a standard de-esser. It works the same. The next thing that I then add is RC20. This is my secret sauce for acoustic guitar. I always like to add a bit of saturation, a little bit of tube drive here, only about 30% or so of the tube air. You can sort of decide on what yours is to taste. I then take away the low end, so I have a low cut here at about 300 Hertz. And then I go to this mid sort of smiley frown curve sort of setting here for the EQ. And then I turn the tone down. And what that's going to do is it's going to basically pull down the mid and increase the high mid, kind of like that, right? And that's kind of what it's looking like. And then we'll also be boosting the bottom end here. Let me just turn this on so we can see. Right, so you kind of get this look here, right? And then obviously you go the other way and it just inverts it like that. So that's what I tend to go for. And it just makes it sound so much better. So here's with them on. And then before. It just sounds, it just controls it a little bit more. Like I've actually recorded into something. And I do that for basically all acoustic guitars I ever record. Same goes for the bottom one here. Now, after I did that very basic processing, I then moved to my bus sort of effects here. Because again, like I said, I wanted these to sound together. I wanted them to sound like they were almost one guitar. So together, they currently sound like this. Oh, sorry. I will actually add, I did add some additional effect on the RC20 here, on the high one. I added just a little bit of spread here, a little bit of this wobble and stereo, so it makes it pan left and right. And again, that's another thing to think about when you're layering your guitars as well. So I pan that left and right, just using the wobble function there. That sounds really, really nice. And then, obviously, as I was just playing it to you then, this is how they sound together. The first plugin I add is UJam Retro, or UJam Finisher Retro. This suite of plugins is just insane, the Finisher series. If you're looking for just quick and easy creative effects that you don't really need to think about, this is your jam, literally, every pun intended. And I went for the cassette, and then I just dialed in, to my liking, and that sounds like this. Already, it sounds insane. So already that gives it so much character. So once I had that, I kind of had the sound that I wanted. I then proceeded to add Neutron, and the first thing that I did was take out some additional low end, which would have been added from the retro plugin. And then I just dynamic EQ around 300 hertz here, just to clean up the boxiness. I then went over to the Imager plugin from Ozone. And here, I just increased the bandwidth here, band number 1, and I increased the width 58 quite drastically, actually. This is to give it some real big wideness. And I think that sounds really, really nice. We then move over to MOTT. And I have it at about 28% there. And again, this just helps to smoothen out all the frequency bands. Again, MOTT is a great plugin if you want a single instrument source to fill out more of the frequency ranges, to be more balanced, right? That's what this does. I don't want to go too over the top, obviously, but 28% was just right for me. I then finished off with some final EQ here, and again, just scooped out more of the bottom end here, because again, some would have been added from the OTT. And then again, I just drew out a little bit of boxiness and sort of muddiness from that, between 200 and 300 hertz there. You can see there's a lot of energy right there. And that is the processing for the guitar for the entirety of the song. That runs all throughout, and I think it sounds lush. If you found this useful, let me know down in the comments. If you have any other tips that you like to use, let me know, and subscribe, follow for more, and I'll see you in the next one.